lights up, while the stage is set. A-list moments you won't forget. Stories told from the hearts of gold, where dreams ignite and truths unfold.
And welcome to our first in-person podcast. I am joined by Mark Bynum with Union Home Mortgage. Mark, why don't you go ahead and just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you do, and we'll take things from there.
Perfect. Well, excited, obviously, to be your first live podcast. So hopefully it goes very well. Again, if I don't know you, I'm Mark Bynum. I lived in the community for probably, my whole life, so 50-some years here. Went to Port Huron High School, raised my family here, and currently live up in Birchville Township. We have a location down across from Casey's as Union Home Loans. Used to be AmeriFirst for about 12 or 13 years. So we do mortgage financing, construction, purchase, business, that type of thing. But again, thank you and welcome you to the show today. So
yeah, thanks for being here. And I can already tell now that we're on camera, you go on vacation a lot more than I do because I look so white.
Yeah, I actually have a big window in my office. I work an awful lot, so I get a lot of sun through that window all day long.
That's all work tan.
It's all work
in the
tan.
Office.
Yeah, it's just not just on one side, if you notice. But anyways, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And how did you get into mortgages?
Years ago, went to high school, as mentioned here at PH. Went to SC4 for a couple of years and went away to transfer with hockey with a bunch of my friends that I met throughout the different areas to Western to have a little fun over there. Got into business college there, found my way. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I did 2 years here, getting the basic classes taken care of, and then ended up at Western and then getting into business college and really finding my way. I kind of like really started shooting down that tunnel and getting things accomplished pretty well. So kind of thrive with the business angle. So ended up, back to your question, how did I get back here or get started in this community, which I never thought I would end up back here. But I ended up being a assistant branch manager hire for First Chicago MBD Bank back in the day. So so I spent probably 13 years in banking, assistant manager in Marysville, actually, as a branch manager. Then I found out real quick that I wouldn't move too fast because I need somebody to get divorced, die, or I don't know, but they just don't move,
Right.
As far as the women. I worked with all women my whole career, which has been fantastic, and met a lot of amazing women throughout the process. Got to the point after 3 years, realized I wasn't moving, that I wanted something a little more, and I was the first commissioned loan officer in St. Clair County back in the early 90s in the mortgage business. And it was a way to get the loan officers away from their desk, out into working with the realtors, doing community events, things like that. My dad thought I was like selling TVs at rent to own, a situation like, what do you mean you don't get paid? But anyways, that's how I got my start. I got my start back there in the mortgage business. I got lucky because 2 women again retired after 42 and 41 years in the mortgage industry, which means they had a big book of business I could take over and help. And then we hit the refinances also too in the 90s. 97, 98 was the first refinance in St. Clair County area, and really took off at that point. So the career started and got addicted to the business, and 34 years later, still here, still get the rush, still enjoy it. I had a young couple in last week and just had a lot of fun with them. So just guiding them, getting them set on their path to home ownership, and it's pretty exciting. So it's been a good run.
And when did you? So at what point did you start owning like your own thing? And it wasn't for somebody else.
Yeah, very good question. I did a lot of volume for a lot of years, and banks, took care of us. They had all the responsibilities, the liability for the loans, and that. It's a lot to be on your own, just with the licensing, the liability, the buybacks. There's a lot to this process, a very awful lot to the process. So basically, probably in 2001, I decided at that point, we were a broker, a bank, we moved back and forth. At that point, we were going to go on our own and give it a try. And it worked out to be pretty successful. Again, I've always had really good people around me, but we've always taken care of our people really well too. That's one thing I learned way back. I worked for 5 seasons in downtown Port Huron as a kid. So
Right.
patio store. Norm that was there, that was one of the owners, always stressed how important it was to take care of your employees, take care of your people, and never lose your sense of humor. Always have that. So yeah, so we started on our own and did that for a while. Then the crash hit. In
Yeah.
2008, 2009, we were 8 years in, being our own broker, doing everything ourselves. And at that point, the government kind of changed things around a little bit. So the brokers basically were kind of flushed out of the business. They couldn't operate their business anymore,
Yep.
make any money, could run it. But then again, all the channels to sell your loans, Wells Fargo, different banks, kind of shut down that channel because nobody knew what was going to happen with the crash, the mighty crash in 2008 with the foreclosures in the housing market. So we had a company, family-owned company, that was after us for about probably 3 years. Basically explained to us that we are the exact footprint of their company and da da da. And I was a little nervous going to a smaller company, but they were Michigan-based. So that was important. So the underwriters are waking up to the same weather
Yep.
we are. Frozen pipes, snow. They understand things.
Right.
They service a portion of their portfolio. So we kept our loans, paid us, did everything, and had a lot of products. So we really met some lifelong friends at that point, with the owners, Mark Jones and Dave Game, which
Yep.
were amazing individuals. So they kind of tucked us under the wing. We were, good little guys. We worked our asses off for a lot of years,
Yep.
and made them money, and we made quite a bit of money also too with them for like a 13-year run. And then about 3 years back, they got to the point with the market and things were changing again, and it's just hard owning a company that you have 800, 900 employees and have to cut back, let people go. It's part of the business, but
Right.
it gets tough. So we had to deal with that 3 years ago, and they ended up merging with Union Home Loans, where we're at now, which is a large company. And I was at the point where I'm sure if I like being told what to do, kind of told everybody else
Yeah.
the last 25 years,
I don't think anybody likes that.
Yeah. So what happened with Union is they came in, and at first I was like a couple steps back. It was a
Yeah.
merger, different softwares, things had to work. But in the long run, it's worked out well because they're a power player. They service, a lot of companies don't service their loans. And to a lot of buyers, they don't want their loans sold to somebody else. And then it's sold and
Right.
sold and sold. I mean,
All of a sudden they have 4 mortgage companies in a year.
yeah, exactly. And years ago, way back, I was with National Bank of Detroit, the first one that ever sold their loans.
Yep.
Okay, we thought we were going to go out of business, right? Because we're selling our loans.
Yeah.
People were pissed. People were calling, "What do you mean you're selling my loan?" And back then it was a mess because they didn't fully understand the transfer of the escrows for taxes and insurance money being sent to the new lenders. So it was messy, but that's all gone away now. It's all for financial gain for institutions with that. So
Well, I think most people understand that it's very possible that their mortgage is going to, might get sold off. So.
Right. We hold, and we always could sell if we had
Yeah.
to, but right now we're servicing that. That's a very profitable piece for a company that can service their loans and have that servicing platform, but you have to have a lot of volume and a good size to maintain and make money at that. So a lot of our service department from AmeriFirst came over to, obviously, 48 came over to a Union to save their jobs too. So it was a big merger. I mean, I think there was probably around, I don't want to say 800, but 550, 800, somewhere in there. Was a big merger that happened with them. So now we sit here with a company where we service our loans. They've got all the products. I mean, I have so many products out there, which is so key. And then a ton of technology, which is so important with everything we do, just their apps and things we can do with Union. So it's worked out. Took us a little while, not gonna lie, to settle in. It does with any merger, right? Because we didn't realize how spoiled little brats we were, but we had it really, really good, So our owners are just really well. And we have a very good here too. It's just bigger company, but that power play, how the size, it's important right now. Companies are getting gobbled up, and
even
they're in business
in
and
real estate. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll see a lot of the larger teams. Maybe they started off with 4 agents, now they got 8 because people are moving to where the resources are.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Technology, you have to, and I'm an older dude in the business. I've always done decent volume, but you have to grasp that technology, because technology will put you out of the business if you don't. And there's been so many changes with technology, but it makes your life so much easier. I mean, I've got an app where I still like to talk to somebody on the phone when they call,
Right, right.
and then I shoot an app to them and they click on that and they go and fill the application out, upload W pay stubs, everything's secured through Union. And then we just take it and roll with it for a pre-approval,
Yeah.
and it's nice doing everything one-stop shop and not having things go elsewhere to make the process good. It's still a huge process. I mean, getting married, buying a
Oh,
house.
yeah.
I mean, two of the most stressful things I think you have out there.
Right.
And it's been good. It's been tough,
Well, it sounds like no matter what's came your way, though, you've seemed to adjust with what's coming, whether that be switching companies, doing your own
Yeah.
thing, or when new systems and, all of a sudden there's an app you can say. It seems like you've done a good
Right.
job at,
Yeah. No,
keeping
I
up with.
appreciate that. We have, and I mean, we're survivors. I think we've been entrepreneurs. We've understood the business. We understood how to make a dollar bill. We've always positioned ourselves the first-time home buyer, so that market's always there.
Yeah.
We've always dealt with the difficult loans, the lower scores, build credit, work credit. We've done everything, pretty much under the sun to survive.
Right.
Years ago. April, my wife's in the business also too, and she came to me back then. She was a processor actually for our company, a very good processor, and probably successful because she was our processor. But
Yeah.
she came to us back in 8 and 9, and our overhead, back then was, it was 37,000 a month, and she's like, we need to, cut this down to 29,000 to survive. And
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me? So we cut down to 27. And I fought her, but I didn't realize that to survive, we went all the way down to, I think it was 13,750 a month was our running to survive through 8, 9, and 10.
Oh, wow.
When the market crashed. And along the way, we we took a bunch of families for rides with us. I mean, we had Michelle Meredith, Jerry Marshall, Carmi, Penny. I mean, we've had a great group of individuals always worked with us, trusted us, and making these decisions are kind of hard when you're deciding where to go to, because it's affecting a lot of families, and their kids and that. But we've been blessed. We've had a really good run with our employees. I mean, we couldn't, it's been, it can be rough with employees. I know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen a few, but realistically, we've had some great loan officers, great individuals that become your friends and family, and you travel with them, and becomes more than just a job with them,
Right.
So
What is it? Slow to hire, quick to fire?
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to fire people, though. It is. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
some of our employees we've fired back 3 times. I swear to God, But you get to know their kids and you go through school. It's just hard and tough. They come back, and but all in all, I mean, would I change things, do things differently? Probably not. I mean, this does control your life as a loan officer. I mean, you're there, 24/7 on the phone, deals, issues, problems. We deal with a lot of fallout deals, which are a mess, and we got to put them back together and deal with the messes and figure it out. We usually got a gut feeling up front. We know we can close. We just got to figure which way to go
which way
to close
go.
that deal. And but we've done some doozies. We've been down in the Detroit market. We've been, obviously in St. Clair County, pretty much all of Michigan to handle everything here. So, but it's been a good run. It's been a very good run.
You mentioned something, and we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but I just think it's the funniest thing ever that, so you and your wife, April, you guys are both, in the mortgage business, but you guys have like a friendly competition. You guys aren't necessarily like the husband and wife team that, most people would.
People think that we come to work and, it's all, fluffy and roses and da-da. And we come in, it's actually that old cartoon, the best friends that hang out, then they go and pretty much try to kill himself each day. But realistically, she's got her team, I have my team. We run, kind of fish in 2 separate ponds. She's a top producer. I used to be a top producer, but again, things change a little bit in and out with your business. So together, we've always been usually in the top 15 of a company. So we've always understood the volume and, how to get things through. But really it's worked out well, though. I mean, she does her thing. I do my thing. I've got my set of contacts and leads, referral partners. And then she has hers. So it's been worked out well. We got
Yeah,
a
I
great
remember
month.
when it was like maybe one of my first
Nah, I
deals.
know. I know. I was
Yeah,
up north snowmobiling actually.
right. And I called
Yeah, you
April.
called. I was on the snowmobile, and I stopped to have a burger, and I looked down and missed call, and I'm like,
all of a
look
sudden,
over. I'm like, oh, I already talked to April. I'm like, are you kidding me? So, anyways, so it's a friendly competition.
no, I know.
End
I
of the
just
day, we're
figured
there to take care of the bar, but it has been. I mean, I like maybe should have changed that, 20 years ago, because she's been writing loans for, geez, almost 20 some years. Like I mentioned to
Yeah.
you, she ran our back room process, learned the products, she did the grunt work. She kept it together for us, and then she she went to a closing and
Yeah.
just got kind of burned out, the back room. And then
Yeah.
I said, why don't you go to a closing and see what it's all about and get a chance to meet somebody that's nobody in their family's ever owned a house. Like nobody's
Yeah.
ever bought a house, and that happens, so
Oh,
you got
yeah.
the first generation that's going to basically buy and own a home. So she got to experience that, and then just really kind of took off with it. Her dad had a long-term care business that she could have taken over and did sales and ran that, but she wanted nothing at all to do with sales at all, period. And now
No?
she's friggin' like addicted. Like right now I'm talking to you. She's probably on one of my deals right now. Maybe I should go. I don't know. We'll see.
That's
But anyway,
hilarious.
she does a great job. She's but then again though, Dave, I mean, was trained by the best,
Yeah.
which was me. I'm just joking.
Now,
Anyways, yeah.
Something you mentioned earlier that kind of got me thinking. You mentioned that you had like a good support network. Like, can you was that family, friends, or just like the people that in
No,
your
I mean,
business?
years ago when I got out of school, back, and this is in the 90s, from college, there was not a lot of opportunity in there. So,
Yeah.
my first job was salaried at 19.7. 17.7 was my brother-in-law as a police officer in Plymouth, believe it or
Oh,
not.
dang.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, you work at McDonald's, make more money. You'll get
Right.
shot at,
Right.
Anyways, but 19.9, that was with Frank's Nursery and Craft, which I knew no idea what that was. My grandma said, you're going to have to stop and smell the roses. I'm like, the hell's that mean? I didn't know, but I just took wasn't a lot of jobs to find. So I did retail for probably 2 years, early 90s, and really got a good understanding that you don't want to be in retail because store manager after 2 years, cranking over in Clawson, Michigan, off of 23 Mile to there, and then working ungodly hours and dealing with employees that aren't showing up. And I got a really good taste of how that works. When you're there's happens to be a school dance, the high school kids don't show up, and you're stuck there.
And
so
now you're short 2 employees, and you got to work 60 hours.
You always learn those experiences, like you said. You always learn a lot of things. I mean, the biggest one that I don't want to go too far off track here, but the biggest one is I got when I came to SC4. I had an uncle that was in Chrysler's. My mom actually had a cousin. One of the fair boys was there.
Yeah.
And Lou. And anyways, he got me in, so I got a chance to get into Chrysler's and experience that, make decent money for the summertime as a college, not an internship, but just work the line and get an idea of how tough those factory workers have to work. They work their butts off, especially in Marysville plant was an awful lot. But I had a plant manager, and they fed me full bennies, full pay, stay.
Yeah.
And I had two of my friends that I met there make great careers with Chrysler's. He told me, he said, Mark, he goes, I've seen you, how you work. He's like, I've been going for, I think it was 8 or 9 years to get my associate's degree. He goes, go to fucking school, get out of here. I'm like, okay. So, and that's what happened. And then I had another individual that, Walt Whitefish was his name. And he ran, ice cream, milk place, London's Dairy Farm, London's downtown Port Huron, just by where the bridge is. It's not there anymore. And, he was an individual that high up management ran it, a lot of experience that I got a chance. Was one of my friend's stepdads. And Walt is an amazing individual. And I learned a lot from him, and he kind of guided me and said, you need to go into business because, my God, you're ordering me around to do things in my own house. So you have a couple of people that touch on you throughout the process. But the mortgage business was always just a drive because, was the first mentioned the first rep on commission, which nobody heard about that. And
Yeah.
when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. But the peaks are great. The valleys aren't so great, but you wait for the
Right.
peaks to come to make some good money. And then I've always try to treat everybody the same, treat everybody, equal, and treat everybody fairly and very transparent. If it's bad, I can tell you how bad it is. If it's good, it's good. But
Right.
when the approval comes out, we've already put that buyer through the mill, jumped all the hoops,
Yeah.
they're ready to go into pre-approval. So it's been a good, it's been a really good run. I've met a lot of great friends, through the process, a
Yeah.
lot of title companies and appraisers, and gosh, we've met a lot of individuals, a lot of networking events we've done, everything. So
That actually brings me to one of my questions, because I know, I see we'll go grab lunch or something, and you're waving to like three people. How, like, were you purposeful
that's
about
just to give you the check. No, I'm just
what's
joking.
that? Were
Yeah.
you purposeful about like creating those connections, or is that just kind of something that happened over the time of your business?
Years ago, I had a individual I met that, and now there's books written like on this where,
Yeah.
if you're within 10 feet of somebody, you should just, nod or acknowledge them. If you're within 5 feet, you should shake their hand. You should, and I met somebody years ago that it didn't matter who you were or what you were doing. You could have a mop in your hand. You could be cleaning a toilet. You could be an executive of a company in a suit and tie, but you just say hi
Yep.
to everybody, and you'd be shocked at how many people are taken back by that you stop on the side of the street or something to wave to them or say hi to them. And it kind of makes their day, So,
Oh yeah.
but again, growing up here, being here, existing here, you get to know quite a few people,
Yeah.
So, but always in sports, hockey, baseball, kids in sports, you meet a lot of good families, good parents from that also too. So it's been a great run. It's been a great run.
As someone, that's actually one of my other questions. I'm always like in awe because like you got you got a bunch. I mean, you're not the Brady Bunch. You got a bunch of kids that are in sports or going out to college doing this, and like I'm just Dave. So how,
Dave.
no, I don't have a wife,
Right.
kids.
Yeah,
I just have my business.
It's a shit show. Yeah. No,
How
I'm
do
just joking. It's
how do you
not.
make
It's not.
how do you make it work? I don't understand.
April and I kind of divide and conquer. She sends me a text each day of what's going on, where to be at, how to handle things.
So she's a schedule setter.
Yeah, she sets it, but we're both like multitaskers. So I mean, I can get, I'm doing, it's like everybody else says, people that are successful are up at 4:30 and pretty much done by 9:30 in the morning. And I
Yeah.
usually get done like today. Before this, I mean, I was up at 6 trimming some bushes down, pulling out some, doing a couple things, a couple of
Yeah.
rentals, this and that, and then handling that. Then just basically good at scheduling with everything. It gets hectic though.
Oh, I'm sure.
Sometimes you don't have 1 hour, 1 minute to sit yourself because you're running here, running there. But as everybody says, when that ends, you're really going to miss that part of life, having that experience. So it's been a good run with that too. Sports have been great. Met a lot of great people through that. And I did too. I played hockey. I know you played hockey. I played hockey all the way through here. At McMorran, all the Port Huron teams travel. Went to Sarnia, played over there for some years. Moortown, Sarnia Bees. And that was a great experience, a great experience. High school was great too. I had a great time at Port Huron High. So yeah.
I've heard mostly good things so far. Can you tell me something like maybe what's the lowest point you've been in business, like, and how did you overcome that, or is there something that happened like in your business that you had to overcome?
The mergers, and changing companies is always hard. I've had a couple of employees that pretty much have been super, super, like we get tight with our employees where we take care of them. You know what I mean? And I've had one that did, hopefully she's not watching, did leave. And I was, kind of like, I don't want to say, birth of the mortgage business all the way through. She was a realtor. She came into the business, and
Yeah.
Became again you become super tight with the family, the kids, and
Right.
everything, and she left, and I wasn't probably a really good manager at that point because
Yeah.
I had my personal feelings in there. It felt like a high school breakup, and I was pretty upset
Oh.
when she walked out the door, and I think she
Yeah.
knew that too. And she did come back, guys. So she did come back to us after the breakup. It was like 6 months, Anyways, I might have took all her business cards out on her and threw them away. She doesn't know about that. But anyways, I was pretty upset with that situation. A low spot was when my dad passed away. I can't lie. That's the
Yeah.
rough part of the life when that happens. So
Yeah. You can't.
so spend
I
your
can't
time with
imagine.
spend time with your parents. That's for sure. It's so important. So, but no, it's you know, always been very positive. Always, April's dad, has taught me that, you always have, even though things are going good right now, right?
Right.
And you're making money, things are great, life's great, kids are great. You still have to always be looking at shifting gears, pivoting, to do something else in 6 months, a year. What didn't I do last year I should be doing this year? Because some of those channels of those business coming in might change. And then you don't have that channel coming in. So what else are
Right.
you doing? So always have been out there. But again, I've always been very smart with finances, and where we're at, just so we can get through with things. Because,
Yeah.
we've seen businesses go out of business. I've seen friends go out of business that didn't save enough money to get through the tough times, because again, not gonna lie to you, when 8 and 9 happened, I think we paid our employees, obviously out of our own pocket
Right.
for like 90 days, 3 months, just because we didn't know if we are going to be in business, out of business, what was going to happen. And
Yeah.
that's what you just did. You took care of them. The companies came back and reimbursed us,
Yeah.
later, but we didn't want them not having. That was through, of course, it always happens around Christmas. That was like
Right.
December, January, February, the three of the toughest months. So we want to make sure they were taken care of. They always got their Christmas bonus. We always took care of, the employees, I would say, without a question. So
That was
it
probably
shows.
one of
It does
the.
show though, because they put stuff on Facebook out there
Oh, it
of
does.
past employees and
Yeah.
things that we've done that we've treated them very well. We always have. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been a good ride. Definitely a good ride. So
I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember when I had to let my assistant go, but
Mm-hmm.
the funds just they weren't there. Do you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And it killed me.
Yeah.
It killed me inside. So I totally understand where you're coming from, because to have to let somebody go is not. I mean, obviously that person left on their own accord, but
Right,
at least they
right.
came back.
It's part of the business too. I mean, but it's always hard, because you spend a lot of time with, I mean, our business is different. It's not like working at a supermarket or working,
Right.
in retail. I mean, it's, we're attached to each loan, attached to the individuals, attached to both sets of realtors, the title I mean, we're really involved in every deal all the way through from start to finish. So yeah.
I
Yep.
got two
Hmm.
kind of final questions, and they're
Yep.
both kind of related more,
Mm-hmm.
for informational purposes. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess if you had to give like just a general piece of advice to maybe like a new home
Mm-hmm.
buyer who's
Mm-hmm.
looking to enter the market right now,
Yep.
what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would tell you right now is a great time to buy. A lot of people say that, just to get you to buy, but
But I
realistically,
mean,
let's look over the last 3 years. I mean, every year was, 22, 23, 24,
yeah,
all the same, mid sevens, low eights rates, trying to jump the housing market, maybe some down payment programs. Right now we're back into the mid sixes,
yeah,
30-year fix, no prepayment penalties. You do not need, everybody thinks you need a ton of money to buy homes. Like, guys, I've got zero down loans that have been around since 1973 rural development,
right,
where you get in for really, deposit and paying for the appraisal, minimal funds to get into those homes. And there's all kinds of first-time home buyer
yeah,
availability, cash. Some
Mr.
you have to pay
Program,
back,
yeah,
some you don't have to pay back. It's getting crazy now. We're letting us bundle them together. So if you've
yeah,
got 25 here and 10 grand there, we can do 12.5, so we can kind of bundle things a little bit. So the money's there. But again, the other thing you're not looking at is, that property is going to appreciate. People are going to say 6 to 8. I call it 4%. Okay.
Right.
5% per year. You get your toes in the water and get in the water. I mean, once you get in, you can always, always refinance that property, get a better rate. Okay.
Oh yeah.
But if you're renting, again, you're wasting that money. So to me right now any time is always the time to buy, to get your feet into owning a piece of real estate. I mean, again, the biggest equity builder in your lifetime is probably your home.
Right. Real estate. And that's
Yep.
across the board for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is easy, or I would say now to get in. They've loosened up a little bit. Things got kind of crazy and tight. And everybody does when the market starts to go south. Guidelines and things tighten up, but they've been loosening up a little bit. So, and a lot of free money.
There's certain areas in the market right now where you might be able to get something under asking. Not everything, but some things you can get under ask because sellers had an extreme idea of what their home was worth. They listed too high, and all of a sudden it's been on the market for a while, and you can get in there at a good price because now they're ready to come to reality.
Now
on the other side of that, if you had advice for maybe a new mortgage lender or somebody that's getting into the business, what advice would you give to someone that's getting into the business?
Well, it's, for when the market crashed 8 and 9, I wouldn't hire anybody because I don't want to bring anybody into this nightmare that was going on. And then I want to be totally transparent. I want them to succeed. We did lay things out, and some individuals did come in, some didn't make it, and some did make it. My biggest thing is your database. I mean, and a lot of times you don't realize that you're like a connector. Like, you need to know who is around you, and you'd be shocked. I mean, I see people that basically their daughter would be playing soccer and they don't realize like what the individuals on that team, like April and I have a running joke where our kids play on a team, but after we refi, did all the purchases, then we move to another team. I'm just joking, for business, but yeah, again, biggest thing is networking without a question. And the database is key. I mean, if I would have, a lot of companies kept my database over the years, back in the day, my database was flashcards that were on a Rolodex on my desk, right? Before we had our computers and all that jazz. So, but database is the most important thing. And just keep your personal debts very low, because it's tough to build this business. It takes, just like real estate, it takes years to get to that point where you got that earning potential coming in. So
and if you just got money coming out and you're hoping something closes, that's not that is not the way. You don't bank on until the check is cashed, right?
Right. And then you obviously want to get with a company that's a solid company too. Definitely a solid company of where you're at. So but again, it's a good career. Not sure if our kids will be in it. We'll see. I think they probably will end up in the business, but they understand, how it works. And if daddy or mommy's on the phone, they're in the car, they don't talk. Got a customer on the phone. But they understand. You
want to go on vacation?
That's all they pay. That's all they pay for the trips, right? So they get it. So, but it's been a good run. A lot of great people, and it acquires a lot of nice assets too. The buildings, that type of thing. From the business I got into doing in these buildings, So yeah, it's been great.
Awesome. Thank you again for being on the pod. Oh yeah, we're coming to an end.
Yes, we're coming to the end.
We're coming to
by very quick. So I didn't know if I had anything to say today, but I guess I'm good.
Yeah, no, you did a great job. So if you got anything else to add for the audience, contact information, where to get in contact with you. Where
you guys, main thing is this is, email, or, best thing is my number is pretty much all over town. So if you guys need me, text me, I'll get back to you. Stephanie's been with me 21 years. She's a phenomenal, again, another employee that's amazing, that highly trained, skilled. She's probably, hopefully she's not watching, probably smarter than me. She runs them all, puts them together. Just a very hardworking individual. So yeah, we're right downtown again, across from Casey's downtown, Port Huron. Been here, I think we're in our 13th year here. Again, Union Home Loans, big purple sign on the outside of the building, 810-334-6049. Hope that's okay. Again, just text me that, or mbynum@uhm.com. Shoot me an email. We'll get you moving the process. There's no cost for pre-approval. ton of experience, and we're here to win it for you. I mean, we want to work for our company heavy, but more or less we want to make sure you're set, products and availability, everything we get you into for a mortgage. So
Awesome. Thanks,
Yep.
Mark. So you heard it
Thank
from
you.
Mark. If you're looking to buy a home soon, Mark has a plethora of loan products. I love sending my clients his way because I know that they're going to have an option for really any situation. So,
True.
make sure to hit
Very
up Mark.
true. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Lights up while the stage is set. A-list moments you won't forget. Stories told from the hearts of gold, where dreams ignite and truths unfold.